Welcome to the August 9th, 2021 Select Board meeting. In accordance with an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed into law by Governor Baker, tonight's Select Board meeting will be conducted remotely via Zoom and will not be open to the public for physical attendance. The meeting is being recorded, live streamed, and cable broadcast by the Easton Community Access Television, which is Comcast 98 and Verizon 23, and on ECAT's website, www.eastoncat.org. This meeting is closed captioned for the hearing impaired. If you're watching on your computer, you'll see a CC button on the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. If you're watching at home and you have
Recording in progress.
If you're watching at home and you have a question or a comment, you can email mblanchard, that's Michael Blanchard, at easton.ma.us, or pose your question on the Q&A feature of the Zoom portal. Please remember to include your name and street address for our minutes. And at this time, I'd like to ask each select board member to state their name to ensure that we have a quorum.
Greg Barger.
Mark Lamb.
Daniel Stebbins.
Jennifer Stacy.
Dottie Fulgenetti. Terrific. The first item that we have is a one-day liquor license for Noldy Dupuy Innocent. Let me get to this. Hold on one second. So the applicant has applied for a one-day beer and wine liquor license for the Temple and Paint Rodigan event to be held on August 14th, 2021 at Oaks Ames Memorial Hall, 3 Barrows Street, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. An Easton police detail is not required for this event. Is Noldy Innocent here? I don't think I see that name in the.
Hi, Dottie, it's Michael. Someone just put a comment that they are here, so I'm going to move them over. The name doesn't match, but I'll move them over.
Oh, okay.
Hi, how are you? Sorry about that. So, good evening. I am Noldy's wife, so I'm part of the event that's happening on Saturday from 6 to 10. Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about it? Is it open to the public? Are there tickets? Is it a private event?
We sell tickets online through our website, compinepaint.com. People have to go online and order tickets so that we have an idea of the number of people that will be attending. It's a paint party, but it's mostly like music, dancing. So we don't have like the usual like an artist instructing everyone. It comes already pre-drawn on the canvas, and people. It's more like a party scene. So it's a paint party. Joan instructed us that we will have to make sure that all the floors are covered. If we decide to put any canvases and tables outside, that we need to make sure like paint doesn't get on the ground or on the floors and things like that. So
That's good.
we've done many. We're at the W. Like we've done a lot of events, so this is not like our first go around. So we have a pretty good idea of how to handle things there.
Terrific. Well, I wanted to just, if this was open to the public, let the public know a little bit about it, almost like a little bit of advertising for you.
Oh yeah, they go on the website only because we have to make sure we have enough canvases, enough paint and everything for everyone to attend. So it's not really a walk-in type thing, but they're welcome to go on the website and check it out.
So the website,
and if they want to purchase a ticket and come, that's fine as well.
Sure. So the website is KONPAN paint.com.
Yes.
And I'm sure it's going to be also advertised on Oaks Ames Facebook page. So if people are interested, sounds like a really fun event. And thank you for choosing Easton to bring this excitement.
Thank you.
Does any of the other board members have any questions or comments?
Can you just tell me what Junior Rodigan is? What is that?
He's a well-known DJ in Boston, and he back because I'm 43, so back in my 20s when I was really into going out in the party scene, he was like one of the best DJs around in Boston. So a lot of people are really excited about coming to see him because he hasn't DJ'd like live in a while.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
No question. Sounds like a great event. Have a ton of fun.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, if somebody would like to make a motion to award the one-day liquor license to Nolde Dupuy and Ascent for August 14th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. and Easton Police Detail is not required.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
It's Bodger and Lamb. Back to you, Craig.
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Evans, yes.
Stacy, yes.
And full Janetti, yes. So thank you so much. We wish you great success in your event.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening, everyone.
You too.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Next, we have a common victualler license transfer. We have an application attached to the packet to transfer a common victualler license to Ava Kyrillos Incorporated, doing business as the Pizza Depot. The application has been reviewed by town departments, and the recommendation is that the board consider approval subject to the applicant satisfying pre-opening inspection requirements and obtaining a new food service permit with the Board of Health prior to opening. Is Ava Kyrillos in the waiting room?
It's Michael again. I don't see anyone by that name, but if they are here, if they could raise their hand, we can certainly move them in.
Okay.
Yeah, Michael, I believe it's Iman. If you look at the applicant, individual name rather than the corporate business name.
Great, thank you. Move them in now.
Hello,
Hello.
you heard me now?
Can hear you, yes.
How are you, sir?
Good, thank you.
You.
So you're here to request a license transfer, a common victualler license transfer?
Yes,
So are you the person who, or the organization that is transferring or is going to get it transferred to?
I make it one for the license.
So you're the new owner,
New owner, yes.
Okay, terrific.
Just, yeah, me and my friend.
I'm his partner. Hi.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about, consider this as a little bit of a pitch for what you're going to be doing at the restaurant, and is it going to be the same menu? Is it, what are some of the changes you're looking at?
We gonna use the same menu. We work in this place and check the food and everything, and we like everything there. And we gonna keep the same menu, but we will try to keep it better or make it better. And we like this town, and we wish if we continue for a long time there.
Great. Well, the Pizza Depot has a really good reputation. It's a very, very good place. So we're excited that you're going to continue that. Craig, do you have any questions?
It's my favorite pizza place in Easton, so I look forward to meeting you guys, and I wish you well in your new endeavors.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you.
Mark?
Good luck. It's great. It's great as it is. I look forward to trying under your direction.
Jamie?
Best of luck to you. I live not far from there, so we'll be good critics for you.
Jen?
Thank you.
Questions?
Thank you.
Oh, no questions, just good luck. And it's always great to see businesses wanting to continue to be here and continue to grow here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, I would take a motion to award the common victualler license transfer to Ava Kyrillos Incorporated, doing business as the Pizza Depot.
The Ava, I think it's start with the letter A as in apple. It doesn't matter if different letter.
So Ava is how I pronounce it?
Ava, yes, but it start with the letter A as in apple,
So
not E.
AVA, Ava.
Yes,
Yes.
perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
So moved based on getting a new food service permit with the Board of Health prior to opening.
Second, Lamb.
So that's Bodger and Lamb?
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Evans, yes.
Stacy, yes.
And full Janetti, yes. So congratulations to both of you. We wish you great success and thank you for wanting to do business in Easton.
Thank you so much. Thank
And
you.
I want to appreciate everyone in town hall, all members. They help us in everything. We don't know anything, and they help us a lot. I want to appreciate and thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Great to hear.
Thank you.
Thank you for the feedback.
All right,
Thank
thank you.
Okay. Okay, next, we have some appointments coming up. So the Economic Development Committee has an opening for an alternate position, and we have Jonathan Spencer. We can move him in.
Hello,
Welcome, Jonathan. How are you tonight?
I'm good, and how are you?
Great. So we got your resume, but for the people at home, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what interests you in being a part of the Economic Development Council?
How much time do we have tonight, Dottie? Because I'm just kidding. So a little bit about myself, sure. So I'm a lifelong resident of Easton, Mass. I was born and raised on Sunset Drive, and I've moved around the town quite a bit, and I live. I'm now over on Vineyard Place, but I double majored in corporate finance and accounting from Bentley University. I received my master's degree from Emerson in communications management, and currently I'm a director of video for Liberty Mutual Insurance.
That's terrific. So I'm going to go around to the board members and ask, starting with you, Craig, do you have any questions?
I'm going to defer to the chair of the Economic Development Council, Mark Lamb, and let him start with the questions. And then if I have any additional questions, I'll jump in.
Great.
Hi, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm good, Mark. How are you?
Good. I saw your resume. I see you were the class president of OA in 2003 with an exclamation point, which works out with the energy I could see coming out of you, which is great because on the economic development group we have a lot of energy, a lot of great ideas. And it's great to see people interested. So I guess my question is what do you want to bring to the economic development? What do you know about economic development as it pertains to Easton? Have you watched any meetings? Like, there's no wrong answer, but I'm just curious.
So I've been in Easton, I'll be honest, right? I moved away for college, obviously, and I lived in Boston post-college for a little bit. And when I got married and my wife and I started to have kids, for me, my wife is from Florida. She's not from Massachusetts at all. So she was open to living anywhere. And I was like, we're going right back to Easton. Okay. Like that's where I've been my whole entire life. Yeah. This is where I want to be. So, and my wife is now a realtor. And so I feel like she's gotten very involved in Easton. And like you mentioned, I was class president. I was very involved in Oliver Ames and everything OA when I was younger. And now that my kids are starting to kind of grow up, they're going to be going to Easton schools. From an economic standpoint, I was like, I want to get involved. I want to get involved in our town. I want to get involved in what's coming here. I eat in the restaurants here. I frequent the farms. I frequent everything that Easton has to offer. My father's a professor at Stonehill. My sister's a professor at Stonehill. Like, Easton is where I'm from, and I'm not. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm not 1,000% sure what the Economic Development Committee helps do or bring here, but if it's bring more businesses or set up more businesses or find new ways to get activities going in Easton, I want to be a part of that.
That's awesome. It's a great group, and it sounds to me like you're pretty well steeped in Easton. I grew up here myself. I graduated from OA in '99, and for the same exact reasons. My kids when they were young, like the town government just sucked me in. I wanted to contribute, so I can relate to everything you said, and it sounds to me like this is going to be a starting point for you. So I look forward to working with you.
I would love that, Mark. I would love that.
Jamie, do you have any comments or questions?
I'm gonna defer to my colleague Jennifer Stacy, because I know she's gonna have some good ones, much as Craig has done, and then if I need to follow on her heels, I will.
Thanks, Jamie, for me on the spot. I do have one question. I would just love to hear, since you've been here for a long time and have such deep roots, I want to hear like, what's been most exciting to you with Easton's trajectory, over the past several years. Like, what have you seen in your lifetime with connections to the community that, like, wow, this is a step in the right direction, or maybe on the flip side, hey, we could have done this a little better.
Well, I mean, obviously the center of town comes to the forefront, right? Thinking about the farmer's daughter as like probably the hugest addition to this town in terms of name recognition outside of this town, right? Like farmer's daughter is a huge draw. I can remember that there used to be a VHS DVD rental store that was in the center of town that I would go to with my dad. And that was at the time when there was the Blockbuster that's down by like the Honeydew on the other side of Stonehill. And so the center of town didn't really have a whole lot. Now we've got Farmer's Daughter, we've got La Cucina, we've got for everybody who's been here for a very long time, everybody remembers Spoleto and where Spoleto was, and Spoleto went to Fresh Catch, and now it's Corfinio, and I love that restaurant there. I mean, I eat out in town. That's where I eat, is places in Easton. So, and I also think that Langwater Farm has been a huge addition to the town. I mean, I go there year round with my kids, right? We do the flower picking, we do the pumpkins, we do the farm stand, we do the open markets. That type of stuff is what I'm seeing attract a lot of people. So if Easton kind of can become known as that farmer's daughter and fresh produce, and we have the farms, and we have borderland, and we have sheep pasture, and we have these great outdoor activities for families, it's awesome.
Thank you.
Craig, any last follow-up?
No, I just enjoyed Jonathan's enthusiasm about the town of Easton. So I've been here longer than you've been alive, but I wasn't born and raised here. But I'm looking forward to, as Mark said, to seeing you serve on the committee.
I'm excited.
Jamie, any last questions?
I was going to ask, what year did you move back, Jonathan?
So I moved back. Well, I graduated. I've been here been back for 5 years now. I was only gone for my time at Bentley, so I was gone for like 4 years, and then I actually commuted for my graduate program, and then I lived in Boston for maybe 2 years after my graduate program before I was out of the city and back to Easton.
Oh, that's great, and I'm always curious as to when people have come back or moved to town. My wife and I moved in 2009 with the same idea, wanting to raise a family. We're not from the area, and what a transformation in these last 12 years. It's been amazing to watch Easton grow and thrive, and under the leadership of Mark and many of the board members today, the economic development of the town's been phenomenal. So a lot of the businesses that we continue to attract, and I think you're right, it's because we've now created name recognition outside of this town. And you're right, you can be several communities away and mention Farmer's Daughter, and there's people getting in line on Saturday morning at 6 a.m., 7 a.m.
Yes.
And Tuesdays for lunch.
You know, I mean, in Boston all the time, I would often refer to Easton when I would say Easton as, do you know Stonehill College, right? And see if people knew the college and, oh, I know Stonehill College. Yeah, Easton. Now I say Farmer's Daughter more than I probably say Stonehill College. And more people know of Easton because of that. To me, that blows my mind. Like, that's fantastic.
That's amazing. So, yeah, thanks for coming out tonight.
I appreciate it.
So Jonathan, the Economic Development Council meets at 11 o'clock in the morning on the third Thursday of the month. Is that something that is going to work with your schedule?
I will make that work with my schedule. Absolutely.
So it used to be at noon because it was considered, we had business people that were on the committee, that it would be like during lunch hour.
Sure.
And the time that most committee members could make it easiest turned out to be 11 o'clock. So we switched that. But we do keep the meetings to an hour. So, you know, it's not a really long meeting like a select board meeting can be.
Great.
I think I loved hearing your comments. In fact, I think we may have to edit this and pull out some of those statements and put them on the Facebook page as an endorsement or a testimonial for Easton. And really appreciate, we love to see new faces, new ideas, new energy and enthusiasm to get on our boards and committees. So we really, you know, especially for people with young families, sometimes it can be a real, or people that work during the day for a job like this, it can be a real challenge. And we appreciate the commitment to wanting to serve the people of town, and it's why all these great things are happening. So
Thank you.
with
I
that,
appreciate it.
Craig, if you'd like to make a motion to appoint Jonathan to the Economic Development Committee for a term with an expiration of June 2023.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
So it's Barger, Lamb. Back to you, Craig.
Barger, Spencer.
Lamb, Spencer.
Stebbins, Spencer.
Casey Spencer.
And Full Janetti, Spencer. So congratulations, Jonathan. You'll be getting a note from the clerk's office. They'll tell you how to get sworn in and when the meetings are, and we look forward to seeing you.
Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. Look forward to working with all of you. Thank you. Very excited.
Jonathan, nice to see
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Give him
Jonathan.
a smile.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thanks.
Bye.
So next up, we have another appointment for the Human Rights Committee, Sergio Ramoa, for a term expiring June 30th, 2024. So we do have an application in the packet, and if we could have Dr. Ramoa join us.
Oh, it's not letting me start the camera for some reason.
Okay. We can hear you. We just can't see you.
I'll describe myself. Facial hair, curly hair.
So, shall we refer to you as Dr. Ramoa? I see that you are a doctor in your application.
Oh, please call me Sergio.
Okay, thank you, Sergio. So if you want to just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to serve on the Human Rights Committee and your experience in town.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, a couple similarities with Spencer as well. My background, I actually grew up in Virginia. I trained down in Miami with my residency program for family medicine. I'm doing outpatient primary care, and I'm actually living in Easton to move closer to my wife's family. And we have a 1-year-old that we just need help with as well. And similarly, kind of just trying to commit itself to the community to try and improve it, to really for the goal of the family as well. My background, like I said, is family medicine. I have seen a lot of different patients as well, and that's kind of where I was going down the vein with Human Rights Committee, just because we see just about any type of person that needs help in an office setting. Then I've also volunteered in a lot of disaster scenarios as well. Even like after, I think, Hurricane Dorian, I went down to the Bahamas to try to do some healthcare treatment with the population down there too.
Terrific. So I'm going to ask the board members if they have any questions for you, starting with you, Craig.
Sure. So, good evening, Sergio. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. Now, you're just moving to Easton, is that my understanding, Sergio, from Colorado?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, what attracted you to Easton, Sergio?
Well, I think it was a little bit of a few things. One, my wife also is a practitioner. She's working in Boston.
Sorry, say that again. I couldn't hear you, Sergio.
Oh yeah. My wife is a nurse practitioner as well, so we had to be close to her work. But then we also just needed kind of a more of a family community setting as well. We have 2 dogs, so we definitely needed a yard. but then just having like a kind of a safe location and a lovely community.
Okay. Do you have any previous experience in the human rights arena?
Not directly in the sense of the human rights committee. I have done legislative committee with the American Family Physicians of Colorado. And in some aspects, we kind of touched upon human rights, kind of like updated discrimination laws to include kind of gender terms and kind of reaching out to impoverished communities. But I wouldn't say specifically a human rights committee.
Okay. But that attracted you. You apparently reviewed the our website and looked at the volunteer opportunities, and that jumped out at you.
Yeah, because one thing I kind of tend to do is to try to volunteer in the community in general, and doing a quick Google search, actually, the committees are one of the first things that pop up, and I thought that was amazing to be able to join and be able to give back to the community in that way.
Okay. And my last question at the moment is, you know, your wife works in Boston. Where are you going to be working?
I'm actually going to be, so it's Atrius Health, so the location will be in Quincy.
Atrius Health, okay. I know the group. Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Craig, you still on the Human Rights Committee?
Oh, I certainly am. That's why I asked a lot of questions, because it's an important committee to me.
So how many times do they meet and what day, can you just describe a little bit about that to see if that's going to be conducive?
It's in the evening, 6:30 or 7 o'clock on a Tuesday evening, usually the first Tuesday of the month. There are some changes depending on what holidays pop up. I just dropped out of, hold on.
We can still see you and hear you.
Okay, I don't know what happened there. So does that fit into your schedule, Sergio, that it's an evening meeting, usually an hour and a half? Currently, we're doing Zoom, but we do, hopefully, when this Delta variant is defeated, we can resume in-person meetings.
That should work really well with my time. And I don't think I was able to include my resume when I first applied. If you'd like, I'd be happy to email it to you.
Sure, you can send that to Mike Blanchard at mblanchard@easton.mass.us.
Perfect, I'll send it.
Thank you.
Mark, do you have any comments or questions?
Yeah, quick question. Hi, Sergio. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Excellent. So, as you can imagine, the past couple of years, the Human Rights Committee, every Human Rights Committee has really increased activity. So, and Easton is no exception. In the past couple of years, it has really become a force for activity and positivity and done a lot of incredible things around town. So my question is, and I'm guessing or hoping that you have taken in or reviewed our Human Rights Committee a meeting or two on ECAT or read the minutes or so. So what do you want to bring to the table to Easton's Human Rights Committee? Is there anything specific? No right or wrong answer.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I definitely have kind of reviewed kind of the previous minutes and agendas, and honestly, I think with human rights, part of it is just continuing this sensation of reaching out to the community to gain understanding and knowledge. I really did like the kind of the book reading ideas too. One, so that way you can read it, and sometimes people read the same material but can have completely different perspectives. So it really is important to share that mindset and different viewpoints or something like that too. So I kind of would love to continue in that kind of method, in a sense of just giving them options for movies, books, just different knowledge sets, different cultures that they would never really experience otherwise.
Excellent. Okay.
Jamie.
Sergio, thank you for joining us and also for your proactivity in looking for board or committee to get involved with. Just remind me, I know you went to school in Virginia. Where did you grow up?
Oh, Virginia. So I grew up in Midlothian, Virginia, which is right outside of Richmond, the capital. And then we moved a little bit when I was younger, but basically Virginia most of my life, and then med school there, residency training in Miami. And I lived in New Orleans for a year in between.
Great. So you've definitely seen some diversity of cultures just within the U.S. And I'll say, yeah, that's, I think this committee is just such a huge value to our community, and one that I wish I'd been exposed to growing up, living in a few different communities. And I think many that sorely lacked this type of focus and emphasis that, a wonderful group of people come together and can really benefit, especially a town like Easton, where there's always room for growth, and especially as we all try to improve civil discourse and bring people together and humanize, just bring humanity back to the conversation. So thanks for your interest.
Oh, of course. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. But yeah, I mean, kind of what you're saying, like growing up, Richmond, Virginia was the capital of Confederacy. I mean, we had the museum still there. We had Monument Avenue, which had like all the basically Civil War generals that you see on TV a lot, kind of being vandalized and eventually brought down. But as a kid, seeing those things, it really didn't really consider kind of other cultural aspects of what they could mean to people. It just was always just there.
Yeah, that's a great point. And just again, I think it only broadens as we all learn every story, right? If we take the time to listen.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's great. And I love the reading based methodology as well.
Thanks, Jamie. Jen?
Thank you so much, Sergio, for applying and for being here tonight. I'm really fascinated by your background working in post-disaster recovery and working with populations following those types of situations. Do you have any specific examples or anecdotes from that work that really kind of resonates with you in terms of, what you could bring to the Human Rights Committee? Because I feel like there's so much there.
Yeah, so I mean, kind of different examples that I have. Like one, even in Miami, kind of in a sense of human rights and lower socioeconomic positions people may be in. The hurricane just knocking out electricity. I worked with Red Cross temporarily too, just because there's a massive swing of people who their food went out for the week because electricity's gone, and now they can't afford food just because everything's spoiled and they just don't have the reserves to be able to feed their family. So that was kind of one huge aspect, especially in math class. But even in the Bahamas, when I volunteered there post-Durian, the government there actually really took advantage of the Haitian population there that had kind of immigrated there and settled in to be able to try to push them off the island. Essentially, they were kind of moved out of their usual settlements and homes. So while they were gone because of the hurricane, they literally just bulldozed their houses down to be able to find a reason to get them out. There's my baby in the background. You may be hearing his cries. He's trying to put his hand underneath the door. But it's kind of that same thing, like the areas of people's lives that we don't even really notice or know about. So really just kind of making people more knowledgeable that I think really will empower everyone.
Thank you.
So Sergio, I'm very excited that you've thrown your hat in the ring. And as I mentioned, this is a 3-year appointment. Where you are so new to town, and the appointment is a long appointment, I would like to just postpone maybe making this appointment and have you talk to Craig Barger and the chair of the Human Rights Committee just to find out a little bit more about what they do. I'm a little bit concerned about the capacity to participate, because this is a very active committee, and they really roll their sleeves up and do a lot of hands-on work. So I think I don't want you to get into something that you're not expecting, and I think it would be good for them to get to know you a little bit first. So if the board agrees with that, I'd like to postpone this maybe until our next meeting.
I agree, Dottie. I'd be happy to sit down with Sergio and to bring Karen Chan, et cetera, into the conversation, who's the current chair, the new chair of the committee.
Yeah, I think that's perfect, and I'll be happy with that too.
Right, so let's table this to our next meeting, and Craig will reach out to you directly and set up a time to meet and connect with the chairs of the HRC committee. And when you learn a little bit more about it, if you are still interested and you are able to make the time for it, I think that would be great.
Perfect. Thanks again.
All right, thanks. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you, Sergio.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have a contract award, a contract amendment number 2 for contract WAT 2021-02, Environmental Partners Group Incorporated, engineering for the polyfluoroalkyl substances, otherwise known as PFAS, preparedness study. Connor, do you want to brief us on this one?
Sure. DPW Director Dave Field is here as well, and I believe he is being moved into the panel for the next 3 items. As I mentioned at your last meeting a couple of weeks ago, this contract amendment has been forthcoming. This is the amendment of the preliminary engineering services agreement we had with environmental partners to take this contract from a preparedness and alternatives analysis study to actual bid and construction administration. Dave, you can add anything to that?
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the nail on the head there. This will bring us all the way through construction and closeout. I'm happy to answer any questions the board has about this contract.
Craig? Any questions?
So, David, there's the original contract was $303,800. And then this 1.169 million is in addition to the 303.
That's correct. The 303 is a combination of the original contract and amendment number 1. And this will be amendment number 2.
Okay, so that leaves about $7 million for the construction of the 3 plants. Is that also correct?
Correct. Yep. And that's right where we estimated originally. We actually have 200,000 of the design. The preparedness study was actually paid for by a grant from the city. So we have that in addition.
Okay. All right. That's my last question for the moment. Yes.
Mark?
I'm gonna defer to Jamie and Jen and Dottie at the moment. If you can, Dave, if you can believe it, I have no questions at this moment.
Jamie?
And I'm going to second, I don't have any questions.
Jen?
Just, was anything in here kind of unexpected, or is this in line with the way that you were mentioning the progress of the project going, Dave?
Yeah, this is right in line. It's actually a little cheaper than the initial opinion of probable cost for the whole project for the design portion. So this is right in line where we thought we'd be.
And just to be clear, this was the total of $9,170,000 has already been appropriated by town meeting for this. So it's almost, I'm looking at it as more like a drawdown as these pieces come forward. You bring them to us, and we're well under that total appropriation. So these are just the steps that we have to take to move this forward, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Dave, could you just clarify? I don't know if it's still up in the air based on whether this level is going to be means and methods of a contractor during the bidding phase, but I think the alternative analysis is it's 3 wells, but are they thinking of 2 actual treatment mediums with connecting a 3rd well to it, or is it 3 distinct treatment?
So environmental partners did this analysis and estimated the cost of the various options. One of them was well 1 is on its own. We looked at combining well 2 and 4 with a single treatment plant. We also looked at bringing well 2 and 4 and doing a combined treatment plant for all 3. What won out was individual treatment plants, 1, 2, and 4, and 2 and 4 will share a backwash lagoon. And the reason for that was well 4 is basically brand new. It's only a few years old, and all the components in there are in perfectly good shape. So if we went with a combined plant at 2 and 4, we'd have to basically gut that station and not use any of those components. So this is the cheapest option. Single plant at 1 and single plant at 2 and 4 with a combined backwash at 2 and 4.
Great.
So 3 buildings, three actual buildings.
Correct.
Okay.
So this might sound like a silly question, but so the to bring 2 wells to a headway, I think that's what you call it, where it ties into one plant. This also includes the infrastructure for that to occur, right?
Yes. So what's going to happen here is at each well, we're going to pull off the raw water and put it through each of these plants. So it'll be basically a giant filter inside a steel metal building, and then put it back into the well building where it gets its treatment, is disinfection, chlorine, and pH control. And then the treatment plants for 2 and 4 will then pump the backwash to a common area on that whole 2-4 complex.
Okay, I'm trying to piece that together in my head. So I guess you could have answered my question. I'm going to ask it again, and it's me. Not concern, but my question is, so there's space between wells 2 and 4, and the infrastructure required to bring the water from 2 and 4 to this facility, that is included, correct? Because you're gonna have to drop in water mains to bring it. And how long, I'm not expecting you don't know that off the top of your head. So I don't geographically know where 2 and 4 are or how far apart they are, but I know that there has to be connectivity now between all of these that doesn't really entirely exist.
Yep. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull off at each well, each of the individual wells, we're going to pull off the raw water with a water main to go to this a building right near there, and then it goes through the filter and gets put back into the existing well building. So each well has its own standalone filter plant. The backwash area is going to pump from 2 and 4 to a common area. So that's just a sink line that's going to. So that infrastructure will be have to be installed, and it's kind of basically in the middle of both where 2 and 4 are. They're several hundred feet away. So that's the most cost-effective way to do this.
The 2 and 4 are off of Gary Road. Is that or Gary?
No, they're actually off of Washington Street, across from Stonehill.
Where's 1 then?
1 is off Gary Lane.
That's the one that's off Gary Lane. Okay.
Feels like we might have to go do another field trip to look at the water facilities.
I'd be happy to take anyone on a field trip to show the plans of what we're proposing. So,
you really, Dave? You mean that?
always, Mark.
Well, we did that the last time, when Jamie and Jen were not on the board, and honestly, it was really fascinating.
It was.
For somebody, I never thought I would be interested in that kind of infrastructure, but it was really interesting to see how it was done, what it looks like. It's hard, to visualize this process. So I appreciate the questions, and maybe we will set something up to go on site and take a look at it at some point. All right,
No problem.
if there's no more questions, if somebody would like to make a motion for contract award number 2 for WAT 2021-02, Environmental Partners Group for the engineering PFAS preparedness study. The amount of the contract amendment is $1,169,900.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Bodger and Lamb?
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Evans, yes.
ACS.
And full Janetti, yes. Terrific. On to the next one, contract award with CDM Smith, the Department of Public Works landfill monitoring contract. You want to tell us a little bit about that one?
Sure. This is our annual contract for our monitoring and operation of our gas flare system at the landfill. It's part of our post closure permit. We have to test the air, water, and surface runoff every quarter, and we also run a flare out there in CDM Smith performs that work for us. The total contract value is $59,700.
Any questions?
I just remember when we first moved to town, that was the dump. We used to drive to we drove to the dump to take our refuse there.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I do have a quick question. So, Dave, I swear I remember doing this before. So my question is, what's the duration of this? Is this annual? Or is it?
This is annual. So CDM Smith has operated this for a number of years. We did an RFP in 2014 just to make sure that, we were getting the best value for our money and the expertise. And CDM Smith again was rated the most advantageous proposer at that time. So it's something we look at periodically, but this is in line with the previous annual contracts.
Has it increased, and if so, how much from last year?
I believe, I'm sorry, I don't have it offhand, but I think it's either the same or it's up a couple $100. When I first started 9 years ago, I think this was costing us about $55,000 to $56,000, and it's gone up slowly, as costs have risen.
Okay, great.
Jen?
Just out of curiosity, this is a little kind of tangential to the contract, but how far into the future does sites like this have to be monitored from an environmental standpoint?
In perpetuity, as
Okay.
far as we're considered. Basically, we could probably petition DEP at some point in the future, but we're nowhere close to that yet. So in perpetuity, as far as we are considered.
Okay, thank you.
Amy, do you have any comments or questions?
No, I do not.
Okay. Well, I think it's good that this is being continuously monitored. It's really important that we are paying attention to the air quality and environmental concerns. And I know that it feels like that's what you were kind of thinking, Jenna, when you were asking those questions. I know those are issues that are really important to all of the board members, but particularly you have a real interest in these things. So thank you for asking that. If somebody would like to make a motion to do a contract award for CDM Smith for the landfill monitoring contract in the amount of $59,700.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Bodger and Lamb, back to you, Craig.
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Stebbins, yes.
Stacy, yes.
And full Janetti, yes. And we have another DPW contract award for Southworth Milton Incorporated 2021 CAT 938M, a front end load and related accessories.
Yes, so this is a purchase of a new front end loader for the DPW. The total cost is $198,200. $185,000 was appropriated at town meeting in the spring. We're going to be utilizing $13,200 from our equipment revolving fund. To finish the purchase, we were adding forks that weren't originally anticipated. That'll help us in our winter operations to take sanders on and off some of our permanent mounted sanders. So I recommend this award. It's being purchased off the state contract VEH 93.
Perfect. Any questions from the board?
I have none.
Quick question, does this replace a loader?
No, this is a new loader. We've been renting a loader for the last, I think, 6 or 7 years, and it's been a capital request of mine for the last 6 or 7 years to actually have a purchased loader to augment our fleet. So this is a new one, but our old loader is probably not far from going out. So hopefully we'll be able to replace that one when it's ready.
With the amount of work you have on a daily basis, I'm blown away that you don't have this. So, yeah, I support it.
And I can imagine renting, a unit like this is not inexpensive. And then looking at the ROI, especially over the number of years that DPW often maintains and keeps equipment, which also blows my mind how well you guys have done with the equipment you've had in over the number of years. So I think this is great and will serve the community well.
Thank you.
Yeah, no question. I'll just kind of echoing what Mark and Jamie said. And you do a fantastic job leading the DPW with making sure that these assets are managed properly and whatnot. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if somebody would like to make a motion to award the contract to Southwark Milton for the 2021 CAT 938M front end loader and related accessories in the amount of $198,200.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Stebbins, yes.
Stacy, yes.
And Janetti, yes. Next, we have another contract award. The DPW is getting all the awards done in one night. We're looking for 2021 Chevrolet 5500 HD Silverado hook lift truck and related accessories.
Again, this is a routine purchase. We're replacing our 1988 F-350 that's been used by the highway division and our mechanics. So this is going to be a hook lift vehicle, which will hopefully give us more capability to have this on the road and travel more miles. Even though it is going to be used primarily by the mechanics, it'll still be able to plow and be used as a mechanic vehicle because we can drop the body. It's being purchased off the Greater Boston Police Council procurement contract. The total amount is $134,041, with $6,041 coming out of the DPW revolving account and the remainder from the capital $120,000 appropriation.
Any questions from the board?
I do have a question. So Dave, your F-350 now, that's not outfitted as a hook lift truck, correct?
No, so that's a standard utility body. It's got a welder on it. It's got all the mechanics tools, and it basically sits in the garage. It only goes out because it's only useful for being a mechanic's service truck. This vehicle will actually have a body that's dropped in the mechanic's garage, but the chassis can go out every day and work. It's when the mechanic needs it, he can grab that skid basically and load up and go and service a vehicle on the road.
Yeah, because this is way more versatile than what you have, like 100 times more versatile.
Yeah, we've been going with hook lifts now because we want to have chassis that put more miles on them. The nature of the beast, we do have vehicles that are seldom used just because of the nature of them, like our catch basin cleaning truck. It only gets used for cleaning catch basins. The mechanic's vehicle now only gets used to service vehicles on the road. Our hook lift trucks get a lot of miles because it can be used for multi-purpose things, and that chassis can be out every day. And that's the goal with this chassis as well.
Okay, great.
Well, did you say the old truck is gonna stick around for kind of light duty, or is that?
I hope not. It's a
No.
1988, so no, we'll auction that one off as soon as the truck is delivered.
Jamie, did you have a question?
Just my only one question was the terminology hook lift truck. So just explain that.
Sure. So I apologize. I did a presentation to, I believe, Capital and FinCom on this, but I don't think I've, got all the board members. It's basically an arm which you can drop the body. You basically and change bodies. So it's a skid system. You'll see it like similar to a roll-off dumpster that a garbage truck will have. Where they drop a dumpster. We can drop a body, very similar. So it's a hook lift, stellar hook lift, and basically we can put a sander on it, a water tank on it, a flatbed on it, a dump body on it, any amount of bodies we want to. And now that we're building up our fleet with more hook lifts, we have multiple body styles available. And now we'll have a mechanic's body ready to go for any of our hook lift chassis, which we now have. This will be our 4th small hook lift chassis, and we have 4 large hook lift chassis. So it just gives us a lot more flexibility.
Great, thanks for that explanation.
Well, I hope that you are able to get these purchases in a timely manner, because I know different contractors that I am friendly with that are having a really hard time with long lead times. So glad you're getting this going so you can get them in. If somebody would like to make a motion to award Liberty Chevrolet the 2021 Chevrolet 5500 HD Silverado hook lift truck and related accessories in the amount of $134,041.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Roger, Lamb,
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Stebbins, yes.
Tracy, yes.
Full Janetti, yes. Thanks, Dave, for being here tonight.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You
Thanks,
too.
Dave.
Thanks, David.
So next up, we have a discussion and vote for an appointment of Linda Hawks as the custodian of tax possession property. Connor, can you tell us a little bit about what that is as Linda joins us?
Sure. So as the board may recall from prior years, it is good practice for the town to occasionally conduct auctions of its real estate at a public auction. And something that Linda brought to our attention is that the law basically implies that the collector treasurer is a custodian for tax possessed property, so property that's been taken through tax title. But that it's good housekeeping essentially to have a vote on file from the board stating as much. So that is the purpose of a requested vote from Treasurer Collector Hawks, who is here. Can explain any more of that in better detail than I can, and also just give an overview of the auction that's forthcoming in August.
How we doing?
Hi, Linda.
So we have an auction coming up on August 20th. I went back through all of the properties that the town foreclosed through the years. I was able to come up with a list of 10 that I thought might be able to get put back on the tax rolls, which is a better use of the property. They're all older tax takings. The most recent one was in 2011, I believe. So you're talking about tax takings that are at least 10 years old. I don't have a full story on every single one of the lots. A couple of them are in subdivisions. I don't know if it's because the developer went bankrupt or just walked, or in any event, the assessed owner at the time stopped paying their taxes, so the town forecloses, takes the property through tax taking, and now it's time, if we can, to get them back on the tax rolls. So we have an auction, which is required by law to have a public auction. Unfortunately, you can't just sell them to interested parties, and for a couple of these lots, there are people who are specifically interested in the lot. But we can't just sell it to them. We have to go through the public auction. So here's the auction. There's 10 properties. 5 of them, I believe, have septic designs that were previously approved. That's not to say that the lots are buildable today, but there at least is that, if anybody wants to follow up on that. And one of the conditions of the sale is that I be appointed officially as custodian of properties foreclosed through tax title.
So I think it sounds like this is the first time we've done this. Usually when we've done tax title foreclosures in the past, they go through an agency that just buys the whole package of them. Am I right on that?
You might be thinking about a tax lien sale, which is different. The tax lien sales sell the paper, basically. They sell the lien and the right to foreclose. These properties are properties that the town has gone through the whole legal process and now actually owns them. The assessed owner is the town of Easton. So these are different from this is different from a tax lien sale. This is an actual auction of owned property.
Okay. And I think it's important to mention for people that are watching this, you know, when the town does foreclose on a property or have a tax title lien, that's not something that's the first thing out of the gate. It takes a long time to get to that point. You work with the homeowners or the property owners or the asset owners, maybe a better word, to try to help them resolve any unpaid taxes. And you know, sometimes you hear these stories where it sounds like somebody, you know, got removed from a property in short notice, and that's not the way it works. There's a lot of work for it to get to this, and as you say, if the town already owns these and they've been foreclosed, this has happened a long time ago.
Yes. Yeah, it generally takes 2 to 3 years to actually go from a tax taking to a foreclosure. The land court is involved and they're not the most swift agency, you know, they, for all good reasons, they're contacting heirs, they're making sure that all due diligence has been spent on each property. So it does take a long time to get to actual foreclosure. And even then, there's a 2-year waiting period where technically we could sell the property, but we wouldn't want to. There is a 2-year waiting period where the previous owner has the right to come back and ask the court to vacate the judgment. The court rarely does, but that's not to say they can't. So,
Connor, you look like you had something to add.
Yeah, I think it's just important to reiterate the points that you're making and build on them, that this is basically the last step the town would consider. There's a lot of administrative and kind of customer service steps first, where the collector's office is in contact with anyone who's behind on taxes. We work payment plans out with folks and a variety of things that are years before we get to this. And the 10 properties that will be considered at this auction, as Linda noted, many of them were taken, some of them were taken before I was born. So these are not, none of them were taken as a result of people falling behind during the economic hardship of COVID. So I think that's an important point to make. This is not the town rushing to try to make a quick buck on somebody who fell on hard times during the pandemic. This is basically getting these things off our books, as Linda said, and back on the tax rolls productively. They've been sitting for a very long time.
Mark, you looked like you were eager to ask a question there. Did you have anything?
This may have been asked before or stated before, but who was the custodian prior to this?
unofficially, it's for properties taken through tax title, it is the treasurer. The treasurer is the named person throughout all of the regulations. The treasurer will do this, the treasurer will accept that, the treasurer will approve all of the legal documents. But there's a section of the law where it concerns disposal of assets, where it does say also the select board may appoint the treasurer as custodian of the properties. And what this does, Mark, is that it allows for me specifically to be available on the day of the auction and to approve the bid or not approve the bid. If a person wanted to bid $5 on a piece of property that I felt was actually saleable, and maybe there's a different way for or a better way for us to do this, then I could reject that bid as well. But this gives me the official sanction to accept or reject the bids on the date of the auction.
Okay, understood. So my question though is, do we go through this process every time there's an auction to appoint you as the custodian?
Do we have to? No. You mean for future? I don't believe.
Well, I'm just trying to look at the past. Like, what did we do in the past? Does this line up with what we did in the past, and will we be continuing to do this moving forward? Is this a one-time thing? I mean, I'm in support of it. I'm just trying to understand the mechanics of the past, present, and future.
I was not here for any other auctions that we had of tax title property. And I can't find much evidence of previous auctions. So I don't know what past practice has been, if any, because I'm not sure that if an auction was ever held in the town of Easton, I'm not sure that it was held under the same laws or under the same constraints.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
I've
have
been
a
on
question, a couple of questions. I'm sorry, Patty.
I've been on the board for 8.5 years, and this has not happened during my time on the board. So if that just gives it a little bit of reference. Craig?
Yeah, Linda, a couple of questions. Is there a minimum? I know there's a $5,000 deposit in order to be able to bid. Is there a minimum on these properties? Because some of them look like they're not buildable, and some definitely look buildable. So, is there a minimum that we accept? Is that part of the process, or you just let it play out and see what happens?
There is no minimum. What I can say is that I do know the dollar amount that each lot was, that each lot was taken for. So when a lot is finally foreclosed on, or when a property is finally foreclosed on, there's a dollar amount that's owed to the town. Ideally, you would like to get that dollar amount back. In some cases, that might not be possible. And at that point in time, I can accept the bid still. If we were owed, if it was foreclosed for $20,000 and someone wanted to bid $5,000, I can still accept that bid. But the fact is, I do know what I'd like to get ideally. I'm just not required to get that amount.
So the valuations that are listed on in your sheet those aren't the minimum values. Those are just the assessed values by the town.
Correct. Correct.
It would appear that 6 of these properties are potentially buildable with just based on the valuation, and some of them are very small.
Yes. Looking at their assessed value, you would think that they were buildable, but I can't certify or say that.
I think it's important to make that clear for anyone who's watching, and it says that in big bold letters on the auction website that the town is not making any representation of the buildable suitability of these properties, particularly as some of them are quite old. Regulations may have changed, things of that nature. It's going to be on the due diligence of a possible buyer.
Oh yeah, I would assume that they would have to go through the permitting process. There's just a dramatic difference between some of the properties in terms of valuation. And when you look at the maps where they are actually located in terms of wetlands and things like that.
Yes. And I did knowingly, it's not that I believe that every lot is buildable. There are some lots that are appealable only to an abutter, either for a buffer zone or perhaps they would like a shed or something. So the intent, or I don't mean to infer that I'm selling them because I believe they're buildable or that they're worth a lot of money. They may only be worth money to an abutter.
Right. Point well taken.
With that point, Linda, how are folks notified? Then are the abutters notified? And what's the process for getting word out on
The abutters don't have to be, not like some of the other zoning issues, but we have notified all of the abutters of all of the lots.
Perfect. Jamie, last up, any questions?
No, but I appreciate, Mark, thanks for also, asking the past, present, future, because that too was I think just great information. So thanks.
So that's one of the challenges of being the new people when we go in order of seniority for the questions. The last couple, a lot of the questions that you have already been answered. So I appreciate you commenting on that. So thank you so much for this work, Linda, and for bringing this forward as something that we should be doing. Like we've said numerous times during this point, we haven't done this in a long time. So to take the initiative to move this forward, to get some parcels back on the tax roll is really great. There is a link in the packet to the website for Sullivan and Sullivan Auctioneers. I would imagine that you could Google Sullivan and Sullivan Auctioneers and Easton, and you'll probably get right to that page if anybody's watching at home, or go to the agenda packet that's in our documents on demand and get the link there. With that, Craig, there's a motion that's written in the.
Dottie, may I just interject one little minute? Just because if related but not directly, where it concerns tax title, and because we're trying to come out of COVID, and since I have a public forum, it's worthwhile to say, while we're talking about tax titles, that if a person does fall behind on their taxes, and if they do find themselves in tax title, the first person they should be contacting is the tax collector, because I have many tools at my disposal. Connor already touched on it, but I'd like to reiterate, I have many tools at my disposal that I can use to help people get back on track. It's not maybe as desperate as a person might be feeling.
That's
Thank you for saying that.
Really a great point, Linda, to bring forward. And the town never seeks any pleasure in moving forward with any of those tax titles or tax taking. So it's really so refreshing to hear somebody in the tax collector's office of a municipality say, come, let us try to work with you. And so we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, Craig, if you want to make the
Yep.
motion.
As provided under Mass General Law, Chapter 60, Section 77B, I hereby move to appoint Linda Hawks, Town Treasurer, as tax possession custodian, who shall have the care, custody, management, and control of all property acquired by foreclosure, deed in lieu of foreclosure, or by treasurer's deed for unpaid taxes.
Second, Lamb.
So that's Bodger and Lamb. Back to you, Craig.
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Evans, yes.
Stacy, yes.
And full Janetti, yes. So
Thank
folks,
you.
thanks for being here.
Thank you,
tonight.
Linda.
Have a great night.
Good night, thank you.
So next, I'm going to go out of order just a little bit because I always have a tendency to forget the minutes. So we have general minutes dated July 26th, 2021. If everyone has had a chance to take a look at those, I'll take a motion to accept those minutes.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Bodger and Lamb?
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Evans, yes.
Stacy, yes.
And full Janetti, yes. Okay, town administrator notes.
I have none.
Okay, select board notes. Greg,
I don't have anything.
Mark,
I do not have anything.
Jamie,
I just want to comment on Purple Heart Day proclamation on Friday, which not only do we have a nice turnout, but Kurt Power, the head of the Massachusetts delegation for the Purple Heart Association, was there and spoke and gave a really nice, not nice, but just a powerful message and talked and explained a lot about what it means to be a returning veteran. And he's a big champion for preventing suicide, military members coming back and taking their own lives. So Kurt's doing a lot of work nationwide. So to have him here in town and to been able to listen to him speak was a real honor. So a real honor. Dottie was there and can comment too. It's just I think a very powerful and wonderful presentation. I'm glad the town of Easton is embracing this as two wonderful ceremonies I've been a part of now between Memorial Day and the Purple Heart Proclamation. Just want to commend the town for, and everyone that attended. And I think the attendance is only going to grow. This is wonderful. And Corey did a wonderful job. So give our Veteran Affairs Department a nod as well. So great job.
yeah, and really a special thanks to you, Jamie, for reading the proclamation. When we do have a veteran that's on the select board, we always like to have them kind of lead those events, and you did a fantastic job. It was nice to see your little kids there. I think that's so important. When my kids were little, the guy who lived across the street from me, Danny Amaram, was very involved in the veterans issues. He didn't have any children or grandchildren of his own, so he kind of adopted ours, and we went to all the events with him, and he was so pleased to have our little kids there as part of it. And my little kids learned so much about veterans issues, and it was really nice that you were there as a family to have your little ones see you stand up. And your son afterwards, I said, "How did Dad do?" And his smile was ear to ear. He was so happy to see you speak.
Well, thank you. And I will say, he was a little tougher on the feedback for me and said, "Dad, you need to look up more." So thank you, Dottie.
It was also very nice, Dottie, to see Representative Doherty and Senator Timothy as well. So that was impressive to have them there too.
All right, Jen, any comments?
I attended my first Affordable Housing Trust meeting as a select board member, and that was very exciting and cool. During the meeting, we approved the budgets and talked about the housing production plan. That's a requirement of 40B regulation. And what the housing production plan basically, it's required to have this done by January 2022. It's basically a proactive strategy for making sure that we think in the community, think about how we're going to plan and develop affordable housing and create a strategy and a plan to act on it. So it's a very exciting time to be part of the board. And we also talked about a house that was that's in discussion to be donated and the costs that would be encouraged to take a house and move it from one site to another. So that's pending right now. So yeah, it was really cool. I'm really excited to be part of the group.
That's terrific. It's a great committee to be on, and Wayne Beitler does an amazing job from the staff perspective. He's really very, very knowledgeable about all the aspects of affordable housing trust and what you can and can't do. So they've really hit their stride, and really appreciate you being there to be a champion for the select board. Thank you.
It was such a well-run meeting. Yeah, and Wayne is just fantastic, and Nikki Dastumian was elected as the chair again, and she just runs a really, really well-run meeting. So
that's terrific.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I don't have anything to add tonight. You know, I really appreciate your comments in wrapping up the meeting tonight, and we will see you in a couple more weeks. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Stebbins, yes.
Stacy, yes.
And Full Janetti, yes. And again, thanks to Elizabeth, our new executive assistant, and we look forward to working with you and welcome you to Easton. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great night.
Stay safe, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.